If I was starting my fat loss journey, I would do things very different to when I first did mine. So, my fat loss journey, where does it begin? I was a bit of a shit personal trainer, if I'm honest. I didn't really track my diet. I enjoyed training, but I think that's what got me into personal training was more the training aspect than the diet. So, like I always do, I decided to go all in on my first diet. I booked a bodybuilding show in September of 2019 and I looked absolutely crap. I looked skin and bones. I'd literally dieted so hard that I'd lost all muscle mass and I literally looked like I'd never been to the gym. So this is the approach that I would do if I was to do my fat loss journey all over again. Firstly, I would shift my mindset around actually what I want to get out of it. Is it really, I guess for me, I wanted validation. I was a personal trainer who was out of shape. So I thought, right, if I go and do a bodybuilding show, I'm going to attract all these guys that want to be coached by me to look like me. That didn't happen. I think often what I see with clients, the clients that get the best results have a deeper meaning to why they want to change. And it starts off with actually wanting to change, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I would first and foremost just think about what is it I'm actually looking to do? Why is it I want to lose weight? It's not just, I just want to lose some weight. There's a deeper meaning to it. I'm fed up of not fitting clothes I like. I'm fed up of always feeling stressed. My blood pressure's through the roof. I'm getting out of breath going up the stairs. You've got to think of your deeper purpose, because if you think of your deeper reason why, it's going to keep you motivated along the journey. And on motivation as well, motivation is overrated when it comes to your fat loss journey. It's about discipline and consistency, which I'll probably cover a bit later on in this video. After mindset, I guess it's more about being realistic with your goals as well. I guess for a lot of people, you'll say, I want to lose 20 kilos in 6 months. But what does actually 20 kilos look like when it comes to fat loss? And there's a big difference between fat loss and weight loss. Weight loss, you can lose weight very, very easily. You can manipulate your water. You could starve yourself for a week. There's loads of things you can do for weight loss. Fat loss, however, is a combination of losing body fat whilst maintaining muscle mass. You've seen these people that go to fat shaming clubs, they'll lose all their body weight through dieting and not really being told to go and weight train. And then they don't like how they look. If you can strike the balance between weight training and your diet, it's going to give you that perfect proportion of actually focusing on fat loss and not weight loss. But when it comes to goals, think of the bigger picture. I want you to almost see it as a lifestyle change and not just I've got a goal weight I want to get down to and that's what I've got to get down to. And don't set deadlines as well. I think this is the biggest mistake that I've always done when it comes to fat loss. I've always booked a show or a photo shoot to go for, and then once it's over, that anticipation of build up just comes crashing down. Whereas the approach that I'll take now, which is what I'm doing, I just see it as a lifestyle change. Yes, there's going to be the odd weekend where I'm maybe not 100% on plan, but if the majority of the week I'm being consistent, the better then I'm going to get and the closer I'm going to get to that goal of where I want to be with my fat loss goal. And I guess a big part of your goals is tracking the data. Now, if you haven't got something already to track your fat loss journey, if you drop me a message on Instagram with the word free, I can send you over my tracker that's completely free that'll help you kickstart your fat loss journey. But if you aren't tracking data, it's very hard to understand, are you moving in the right direction? And another data metric to track as well is your rate of loss per week. This is something that a lot of people don't track and it's really, really important to do. You want to be losing anywhere between, I'd say, 0.3 to 0.7% of your body weight per week. This enables you then to be more likely losing body fat and less muscle mass than when you go to the extremes, 1.5% of your body weight per week, where you're probably chewing into muscle mass as well. Another goal is set non-scale based goals. Like I said earlier, fat loss is different to weight loss. Your goal should be based around just what do you want to get out of it? Do you want to feel better? Do you want to have more energy? Do you want to be able to go to your first spin class and not be blown out your arse? Do you want to go and do a high rocks? Do you want to go and run a half marathon? Do you just want to go on holiday and be in bikini shape? There's so many things that aren't scale weight related, but the issue is nowadays is there's so many of these fat shaming clubs that have happened that it makes the scales the biggest priority that we focus on. And this is something that I'm massive on inside the Level Up product, is making people realise the scales is almost just like our way of navigating the ship and showing we're going in the right direction. There's other things that can show us that we are going in the right direction, such as progress pictures, progression in the gym, your habits that you're building, that the scales aren't really related to that progress then. Then I guess we get to like the nutrition aspect of it, and this is something where I guess for me, I was fortunate and unfortunate because with being a fussy eater, I'm very limited to the foods that I choose anyway. So what I was eating back then, I would never recommend it to my clients how I eat, but it's what works for me. However, for you guys, you've got to build a realistic nutrition plan that you can stick to. If you know you always enjoy a beer on the weekend, how can you factor that in without taking the piss with it? And this is another conversation I have to have with a lot of my clients, is like understanding that balance between probably 80% on plan, 20% a bit more flexibility. Because this is the biggest issue with people, is like Monday to Friday, you are very routine, you're in your 9 to 5 job, you've got all your shifts, and you always know what your structure is. As soon as the weekends come, people's plans go out the window. You stop tracking your food, you stop planning your food, you don't bother going to the gym, you don't bother with your steps, and then you wake up on Monday and you're like, oh, I've gained weight again. So you need to figure out a plan that works for you. There's something I like to give my clients called the weekend warrior approach. This is basically where you bank your calories Monday to Friday. So on Saturday and Sunday, you've got a bit more calories to play around with. Now, this doesn't mean you go and just blow out on the weekend and think everything's going to be okay on Monday. You've still got to have a bit of a structure to your weekends. And the more you can prepare for the weekend, the better the outcome's going to be. Because a lot of you are probably like me, where a lot of you probably wake up Monday morning and you question why your weight's gone up. But then you know on the weekend you haven't really stuck to the plan. So, for example, let's say if you worked out your daily calorie intake, it should be 1,500 per day. What you could do is Monday to Friday, deduct 200 calories from them days to give you then an additional 1,000 calories to wiggle around with on the weekend. When it comes to fat loss, we are focusing more on your weekly calorie deficit rather than a daily calorie deficit. So the 1,500 calorie example, you're eating less in the weekday but more on a weekend, it'll still equal out the same as long as you factor in that then 1,000 calories on the weekend extra is your limit. And on calories as well, like you need to have a good understanding of calculating your calories. This was something I feel that if I was to do things differently now, I actually wouldn't do it differently. Like I think calorie counting is king when it comes to fat loss because it allows you that flexibility, but it also allows you a better understanding of nutritional values. Like you understand where you can get your protein from, where you can get your fats from, where you can get your carbs from. And talking about these things, like you shouldn't really be worrying about too much your fats and carbs at the moment. It'd be focusing more on your overall calorie intake and your protein goal for the day. And for protein goals, a nice and easy number to go by is just 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you find that too much, just build yourself up to that point slowly. So maybe start at 50%, so 0.5 grams per pound of body weight, and then 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, etc. And just get up there because protein is a huge factor when it comes to fat loss. It's going to help us reserve as much muscle mass as we can. It's going to help us with recovery from the gym. It's going to help us feel a lot more full so we're not getting hungry. There's a massive bonus to making sure that we are sticking to our protein goal. Now, calorie counting leads quite nicely onto the next point, which is making habits of the things that you should be doing for fat loss. I think this is something that I've always overlooked until recently, and it's just making things become second nature to you. So always making sure that you're trying to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. Always making sure you're hitting a step goal of 10,000 per day. Now 10,000, by the way, guys, isn't a magic number, but it will help you massively just be consistent with hitting a goal each day. And also start to identify your bad habits. I think this is again something that I've realised recently with me, is like rather than like trying to change completely, almost look at what bad habits are causing things to happen, because for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. So we've got to think like, right, what is a bad habit of mine? So an easy example for a lot of you guys could be when you go shopping, going down the sweet aisle, it instantly triggers, I want that, I want that, I want that. So how can you make this as easy as possible to win and make it as difficult as possible to lose? You just don't go down the aisle. That makes it so easy for you to win and so difficult for you to lose, because you're not going down the aisle, you're not going to grab anything from the aisle. So start to notice your bad habits, identify them, and then figure out the easiest solution to create the biggest friction point possible for that habit then. Another point on habits as well is creating structure around your diary, like making sure that you are fitting in meal prep across the week, making sure you are fitting the gym into your diary each week, making sure you're finding time for yourself. Like, The more structure and routine you can build, the easier your fat loss journey is going to be. And I guess from that training side of stuff, that leads nicely onto what I'd probably do differently from a training plan perspective. I guess the difference I would do now, if I'm completely honest, is any of my OG clients will know I used to detest runners. I used to say running would not help with fat loss. And I was a bit of a hypocrite because you need to find a training plan that works for you, but does incorporate weight training as well, which I think is a vital role when it comes to fat loss, because you want to be building and reserving as much muscle mass as possible while minimising as much body fat as possible. Weight training is going to play a huge role in that. But when it comes to actual exercise selection, like if you want to do CrossFit, boo, you can go into that. If you want to do running as cardio, you can do that. If you want to do tennis, badminton, swimming, whatever you want to do, make the process enjoyable, because I understand like the gym for some people isn't the most enjoyable place to be. Like that's currently how I feel at the minute, and I'm a fitness professional. Like find ways to make things enjoyable, because the more you're going to enjoy your diet, your training and everything you're doing, the easier this fat loss process comes. And I think this is where I went wrong, is I turned it more into a job than I did turn it into something that I'm enjoying. And I guess for me, it's difficult because my job is in the fitness industry. And I guess when you turn a passion into something that you're monetizing, it starts to remove the fun away from it. And you almost see it as like you have to do it rather than you get to do it. So just make sure you're finding enjoyment in your training plan. And again, if you are struggling with training plans, you can just message me the word free on Instagram and I can send you over the whole of the 4 weeks of free coaching, which includes training plans inside of that as well. And with that free coaching, which leads on to this next point, is just find some form of accountability and support. Now, I'm not going to be a typical coach who's going to say you have to sign up to a coach to find accountability or else you're going to fail. That isn't the case. You could find accountability from friends and family, someone that you go to the gym with, maybe even creating like a free group in your local area where you all mingle together and you hold each other accountable. You don't have to be paying a coach to find accountability. Yes, a professional is going to help you get there quicker, but you can find accountability in loads of ways. And this is what I've loved about the Level Up product that I do. Yes, this is a paid product, but it's very cheap for people to enter, and the community is the best part of it. It creates that support and structure for individuals to actually keep going towards their fat loss goals. So just find a way to hold yourself accountable through other people. And another point on that as well, the spreadsheet that I mentioned earlier to track your fat loss. Tracking your data is going to hold you accountable to sticking at it, because you'll notice, right, if on Saturday you've had a blowout, oh my God, what's gone wrong? You can look back at the data, hold yourself accountable to it and create an action plan around that then as well. And also, blow smoke up your own arse, celebrate your wins, because I think this is something that as humans we often feel a bit cringe about, but celebrate what you're doing. If you've lost 5 kilos, go and book yourself a spa day, go and buy yourself some new gym clothes. The more you celebrate and the more you see the evidence of you achieving what you want to achieve, the easier it's going to get, because you're building the evidence that something's working. And I think the more positive and the more, I guess, happy you can be with your journey and the more you can enjoy it, honestly, it makes the world a difference. As soon as you start self-sabotaging and start doubting what you're doing and being negative about it, that's going to just give off negative vibes. So make sure you are celebrating milestones, because it will play a big role in your progress. So my final point around fat loss is you've got to be patient and consistent. This is something that I haven't done. I'm an all or nothing type of person, and this is what I found difficult with my fat loss journey. Is I've booked a show, I've booked a photo shoot, I've done all the things that have created urgency rather than thinking of patience and consistency. You don't need to be perfect every day, you just need to be persistent. Fat loss is a lifestyle change. Like if you can adapt your habits and your lifestyle to suiting fat loss, it makes the world a difference. Like imagine walking around pretty much all year in relatively good shape. That is possible, and this is what I'm doing myself now. Like I'm trying to find that balance between building multiple businesses, enjoying my health, enjoying socialising, and fat loss. And it is work at the moment. Is it at a slower rate than I'm used to? Yes, but that long-term vision of mine knows that in the past when I've done things like this, I've been too all in on it. Whereas now, just taking a slower, steady approach will hopefully lead to a better outcome at the end that I can sustain. And that, guys, is what I'd do if I was starting my fat loss journey again. Now, I've mentioned this already, but I didn't want anyone missing this out. If you do want to start your fat loss journey for completely free, no strings attached, you're not going to be paying me any money, just message me on Instagram at Liam Smith Coaching, the word free, and I can send you over my 4 weeks of free fat loss coaching for completely free. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button